Chapter 60. With my Garganta closing behind me, I watched Batman climb back into his jet and take off, probably back to his manor to check up on his son Damien and begin investigating where the Injustice League were hiding if he didn't know what the group's name was at the moment. "Let's go check the Fey marketplace again," I muttered as I walked through my Garganta with the iron intent in arriving directly at the marketplace and not wanting to have to stroll around the Fey paths to get there. Thankfully I arrived directly at the Fey marketplace with the many fantastical residents all looking at my abrupt arrival, as most entities had to use the paths to arrive here. The reason I wanted to come here not only to window shop was that time and space here were much more stable and constant, similar to Earth, so a few hours here won't equal a whole week like my little trip grab Kara turned out to be. The rules of hospitality and such here in the market were also more relaxed, so I was able to actually buy and eat the food and drinks without being cursed to remain in Fairy for eternity like I would be if I just decided to eat an apple in the middle of the Fey paths. "Gimme a bag of breadsticks and a skin of wine," I ordered from a tiny flying fairy that was barely a foot tall, but it still had bodily proportions that equaled a voluptuous woman would have had if they were the same size. "3 silver shillings, my lord," the pixie said, obviously feeling my power and seeing how aristocratic my dressing was, so she seemingly got brave and wanted to price gouge me. "Is that bread from Zeus's table? Is that wine collected from the bosom of a beauty? Here 5 copper shillings and you won't get a single one more," I said, dropping the dark copper coins I looted from Baba Yaga's house after I killed her. "Bah, fine, my lord," the pixie grumbled, and with a grunt, she picked up the 5 US quarter-sized stack of coins and flew over to a cup and dropped the coins within. "1 second, I will go get your order," the pixie said as she flew into the back of her tiny shop that was the size of like a refrigerator box. Not even 30 seconds later she came out flying with great duress as she carried the sack of hot, great-smelling garlic and buttered bread sticks and some kind of red wine that was in a drinking bag. "Thanks," I said, reaching over and taking the order before she could drop the food onto the ground and ruin it. But before I could leave and enjoy my snack, before I returned with the revelation of where the Injustice League was, I heard the fairy speak out. "Excuse me, sir," she called out, and I paused and looked back while moving to let the other denizens of the market pass by. Pesty was curious, but biggins like you don't come to us little pixie stores. Especially you noble folks, so why did you come to Pesty's store? The pixie questioned, and I blinked before I opened up the bag of food, and with a hum of delight, I bit into the breadsticks. Because little pixie. Good breadsticks transcend racial lines. Actually, these were actually really damn good breadsticks, as you could tell with her small size. She literally put her all into making it, and it was obviously fire cooked. You know what? The mountain needs some magical protections, and a fairy beloved in the home they are welcomed into is greater than a house brownie and is fully capable of some very small-scale reality manipulation to protect said home from Catholics and other people who want to bring unwarranted harm to the people living within. Plus, she can cook and clean for the dozen-plus damned superpowered always hungry teenagers in the mountain. I wish to take you within my household service back on Earth that's deep within the earth and needs much work to feed and take care of the occupants. What do you want for recompense for such service?" I asked as I eyed the little pixie whose eyes dilated at the offer. Because pixies are beings of magic that had largely been kicked off Earth by the Abrahamic and other faiths. Actually, being formally invited into taking up the home of what she saw as a powerful sorcerer, which I sort of was with how powerful my hollow abilities were along with all the other heroes that lived within the mountain, would within a couple of years of service allow her to evolve from a simple pixie and into a real fairy and possibly into a member of the fairy nobility. Then I pulled out a USA ribbon I got from the carnival I took Galatea to and offered it to Pesty. "Will you wear this ribbon and take up the responsibility and bind yourself to my service?" I said, flaring out my spiritual pressure and my domain over the winds, and the people who were watching the scene staggered as they realized I was a world owner, which was one of the most noble positions one could have in the Fey lands. Shakily the pixie almost violently nodded, and she quickly but respectfully took the ribbon from me as though afraid I would withdraw the offer, and as the fairy binding the ribbon around her nude body like a toga of sorts, I felt a connection to the pixie in my mantle as the unfettered traveler with unbound winds form. "Come with me then," I said with a flash. I instinctively pulled Pesty into my voluminous sleeve and into my reality marble of Hueco Mundo, and by God I needed to give her a better true name if she was going to be my familiar. With all my heroics work I realized I needed to focus on my reality marble or inner world that was fully capable of supporting life with its small oases I had created by absorbing small pawns and other things in my little adventures. And having an immortal pixie that can start taking care and bringing together my inner world while I am so busy with Earth life would kill two birds with one stone. Time to get back. I muttered as I watched Pesty flying around my inner world in religious wonder and then looking at the cowering Fae as they eyed me like I was one of them and was going to eat them or likewise torture them for some nebulous reason. I scoffed at the thought of being like these monsters and with a sonido I vanished from their sight. Taking out Batman's badge that he gave me, I held it outwards as I landed out of my sonido atop one of the branches of the two ginormous cloud-piercing trees that covered up the Fey market and protected it from the Fey land's massive predators like dragons and such. "Batman, you there?" I asked, seeing a golden silhouette form of Bruce Wayne holding a child in front of a computer, and I saw Batman flinch as he turned his chair to look at me. "Damien is finally sleeping, so please quiet down," Batman said, and then he waved the bottle seemingly filled with milk in my direction for me to continue as the badge didn't have long. Alright, so in my travels I found out that this is a coordinated attack by a group called the Injustice League. It's located on the edge of Bayou Bartholomew, literally not even a 10-minute boat ride through the bayou from Belle Reve. Letting Batman absorb those words, I continued on. The Injustice League consisted of Atomic Skull, Joker, Poison Ivy, Ultrahumanite, Votan, and finally the leader seems to be Count Vertigo, who will rely on his diplomatic immunity as the second in line to the throne of Latava should he be captured. I quietly explained, with Batman recording my speech to obviously share with the League in case it takes me longer than expected to get back to Earth. With the location of their base, finding them will be trivial, so good work, Lord. Batman said, nodding to my phenomenal, prophetic abilities. "Come back to Earth as soon as you can to join in the assault of this Injustice League. We will be coming down on them hard so they cannot make demands or launch another attack. You have 5 minutes to arrive as I have called for another emergency meeting for all the League agents to muster, and we will be leading the attack within a couple minutes of the meeting starting," Batman said before he tapped his badge and the silhouette of Bruce Wayne holding his son Damien Wayne cut out. As he was obviously preparing to go to the Watchtower and bring the full might of the League upon this iteration of the Injustice League.